Here's what's coming up on today's show.
A lot of people are pushing these things saying that you're going to go up with the market but not lose. If that existed, then why would everybody put their money there? So beware, and if you have questions or you're talking to somebody about that and it seems too good to be true, it is.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
I got a quote of the week here for you, Mark. I love this one. And, I think having a sense of humor is just really, really important for all of us. And if I had to be serious all the time, I'd go crazy. But George Bernard Shaw once said, "You don't stop laughing when you grow old. You grow old when you stop laughing." You agree with that?
I agree with it 100%. Yeah, life is serious, and some people take themselves too seriously, in my opinion. But
that's right.
If you can't laugh at yourself or laugh at things, then what's the point? So, laughter is what do they say? Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, that was always my problem back when I was in school.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes I tend to use laughter too much, but it is what it is, right?
Not taking things too seriously. That's for
correct.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I think what you just said about taking yourself seriously is really a problem for a lot of people out there who just can't laugh about things.
Absolutely.
Hey, we talk about money on this show, of course. There are really three worlds of money when you break it all down and simplify things. When you really boil down the situation, basically only three places where you can invest money. Let's talk about the role that each of these worlds plays in a good financial plan. And what about the banking world? What are the best uses of the banking world? What are the pros and cons? And how do people sometimes screw up because they misuse this category?
Well, the banking world is going to be like your money markets, your checking, your savings, CDs even would fall into that category. And I would say this is going to be best used for your emergency funds or your liquid part of your portfolio. And as a certified financial planner, we recommend keeping 3 to 6 months worth of expenses liquid. So if you're spending, let's say, $5,000 a month, you should have between $15,000 to $30,000 liquid. We'll even err a little bit higher for people that are retired. Some people want to keep 12 months, so there may be $60,000. Any more than that, you're really losing to inflation. And I know it's tempting right now with where interest rates are and CD rates are, where you can get say 5% on a CD or something like that. It's very tempting. But when inflation is pick a number 7-8%, you're still losing purchasing power.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of that. And I would argue, even when inflation was down to 2% and you were only making 1 on a CD, you were only losing 1%. So you're actually better off with purchasing power before, even though it looks like there's like an illusion of people putting money. And I know there's records amounts of money going into money markets and CDs, people thinking that, they're getting a great rate, which they are compared to where they were getting. But inflation's much, much higher than it was too. So it's all relative. You've got to go with what the net is. And so the banking world, that's what I would use banking world for as far as just your emergency liquidity needs and emergency funds.
Yeah, I'm telling you, inflation these days is crazy. And it's a lot worse than the government actually says it is.
Always, right.
That's the banking world. How about the insurance world? What are the best uses of one kind of an insurance or another? What are the pros and cons, and how do people mess up there?
Yeah, and I'm not a lot of people think that insurance is an investment. I don't necessarily look at it that way. I think it's great for leverage and protection. When you think about like a life insurance policy, that sort of thing, or even like some type of policy for long-term care, something like that, it's giving you leverage. If you do need long-term care, it's giving you a benefit there that's going to help you provide leverage and cover some costs that you don't have to come fully out of pocket for. So it'll help in those ways. I personally wouldn't use insurance as like an investment for growth. I know some people do, especially on the radio here. It seems like every other person on the radio is pushing some type of complicated insurance product or annuity. I would stay away from all those, in my opinion. They're very complicated. There's fees. There's restrictions. Your money's locked up. They aren't what they seem. A lot of people are pushing these things saying that you're going to go up with the market but not lose. If that existed, then why would everybody put their money there? So beware, and if you have questions or you're talking to somebody about that and it seems too good to be true, it is. So be leery and happy to have those calls. We get a lot of those calls of people that talk to other people thinking that there's something not right, and we try to clear it up for them.
Yeah, and you know what Mark just talked about. If you have some questions about that, it's a good opportunity to call him and get that conversation arranged. It's not going to cost you anything at all. 520-333-7601. We talked about the banking world and the insurance world. What about the Wall Street world? Tell us about the pros and cons of the Wall Street world and how some people sometimes get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the Wall Street world involves risk, whether it be a stock or a bond or a mutual fund or ETF, whatever, it involves risk. But if it's done properly, and we're big fans of globally diversified portfolios, then you're going to be okay because everything's going to be invested appropriately. And over the long haul, you're going to make a lot more money and it's going to stay liquid. Your fees are going to be much lower than what you would get by going into some complicated insurance or annuity or something along those lines, or even a CD, which is guaranteed not to keep you ahead of inflation. So the only way that you have a chance is investing in equities, quite honestly. Even with bonds and things like that, rates are up, which is a good thing. But they're not up. You can't buy a 7 or 8% bond and call it a day to keep pace with inflation. That doesn't exist. Yeah. So unfortunately, everybody's got to take some risk. How much risk? It really depends on your situation, what's your age, what's your goal, how much money do you need to grow, life expectancy. There's so many different factors in there. So that's why we customize everything for everybody. But in the long run, the markets do work. I know in the short term here, especially last year, it doesn't seem like it does. This year, we're still up. But the last couple of months has definitely been a struggle, and we don't know where we'll end up for the year. But it's time in the market, not timing the market. So if you're invested properly with a diversified portfolio and with the right person, they can get you through it, and the money will be there when you need it.
Some people out there just try their best to time the market, and that's really a strategy that's going to fail for you because you got to be right twice. When to get in, when to get out.
100%.
Yeah. Mark, I know a lot of people call in every week when they hear this show, and they want to have a conversation with you and get to know you a little bit. And what kind of things do you talk about the very first time someone makes that phone call?
It's really just it's a introductory call is what we call it, and it's really just a phone call where I'll answer any questions that you have. If you have questions about our services, that sort of thing, I'm happy to answer those. But really, it's what your goals and objectives are, what concerns that you have, what prompted the call, and just really answering those sorts of questions. And if we feel we're on the same page, we can talk about next steps and that sort of thing. But some people just have a quick question that I can answer for them. Sometimes they need a little bit more information. So it just depends on your situation. It's not a boilerplate thing. It's really a personalized conversation. It's with me. I don't pawn you off on somebody else.
You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.